Hey, what's happening? This is Jason, and today we're going to talk about adult strength or injury resilience and strength over the age of 50. And so, what's this all about? What are we trying to accomplish? Well, we want to have capability for you for all your physical activities of life, even and especially the tough ones. So, if you are, if you're walking the dog and the dog, darts in the wrong direction, we don't want you to have to worry about getting injured. If you're walking down an icy sidewalk, and you have a little slip, we don't want you to worry about getting injured or maybe even falling. We want you to be able to play with the kids. You want to be able to, do the recreational activities you want to do, whether that be a sport or something like that, hiking, all that kind of stuff. We want you to be able to do that without the threat of injury, or at least a very low threat of injury. So we want the prevention of injury, and we want resilience to the injury should it occur. And so our goals underneath that are we want to give the body the skills to prevent an injury. A lot of times it's going to be a fall in the first place. If there is an incident, we want to make sure it doesn't cause injury. If it does cause injury, we want to limit the severity. And if there's some severity, we want to make sure that the person can recover completely or in as little time as possible. So, what's the situation that is very common right now in America? Well, everybody says, "Oh, I'm getting old. It's my age." Well, that's somewhat true, but it's also a lot false. Um, the age, from my observation, is much less of a contributor to the conditions that we feel like we're in right now, of being deconditioned or being malconditioned or being in pain and not mobile or lack of physical capability, all that stuff that we say, I'm just getting old. That is more about us being deconditioned or malconditioned than it is purely about age. Um, when we say deconditioned, we mean that we just haven't, we haven't done what life would have had us doing, 200 years ago in terms of our physical lifestyles. And therefore our bodies have been, have lacked the condition that we used to have. In terms of malcondition, that means that we are conditioning ourselves in the gym. We're doing some strength. We're doing some, good stuff in the gym, but it might not be quite right for this particular goal that we're talking about today. So, and how do we get here? Well, we have a lack of maintenance, which you just kind of talked about. And then we have our environment, and that could be in the form of pollution. It could be in the form of bad food. It could be because we are relying on the automobile to get us absolutely everywhere. Back a couple hundred years ago, all the way to 250,000 years ago, we would have had to rely on our bodies for a lot more. Our occupations are spent, like this lady up in the upper right hand corner, grabbing her back. We're spending a lot of time sitting in chairs. You might spend 30 years at 80 hours, 8 hours a day, in a chair looking at a computer. And so that is not necessarily the way our bodies were evolutionarily designed to work. And then in our lifestyles, we're not doing as much of the gardening, we're not doing as much of the farming, we're not doing all that active stuff that we used to do. We don't have as much recreation as we'd like. Hopefully we're doing some, but we don't have as much. And some of that might be because we're afraid of getting injured. So prevention. Well, most programs of this kind that I'm talking about focus on ergonomic factors like cleaning the house and picking up rugs to make sure that they're not something that's going to trip you. Having the rails so that you can grab onto them, so you don't fall and get injured. And these are all fine. But this is thinking about controlling external factors. We want to think about physical capability or focusing on you being stronger, the same way you would have been before you needed to even think about controlling those external factors. We want to get you closer to that. For prevention, Athleticism is the physiological category we need to think about most here. And so what's athleticism? It's, it's foot coordination, it's posture, it's hand-eye coordination, it's balance, it's stabilization. And then if there is something that happens, we want to make sure it doesn't cause an injury. How do we make sure we don't get hurt in the case of an incident, like walking on an icy sidewalk? I had this happen many times when I used to live in Chicago. This is going to require mobility. It's going to require you to go ahead and you want to work on your groundwork, which means you want to work on getting up and off the ground, so that your body is used to it, so that the nervous system recognizes it when it happens. We want to work on your strength and your bone density. You're going to want to work on that. You want to do something like weights. Even better is plyometrics. Plyometrics and jumping, and that is amazing for bone density. We want to work on that. And then should something happen, then we want to limit the severity of the injury if it were to occur. And so this is where we want to return to muscle strength. We want to return to bone density. We want to return to stability. Mobility is all going to work in that as well. Although anti-inflammatory nutrition is going to be important in this category, because if you're inflamed, you're much more likely for the injury to be more serious if you're already inflamed and you don't have those other capabilities as well. And then how do we make sure that you heal and recuperate fast? Well, that's going to come from having a cardiovascular, endocrine, and metabolic health and capability. Having a very good, robust, health and performance, capability and ability of that in that realm. And then that's also where nutrition and active living come in. Active living means, doing the recreation, doing the gardening, doing those things that you might, farm out to people, no pun intended, to outside sources, cleaning the house, doing all those things, walking with friends, walking with people, doing those things that you might have technology take over to do if you had another choice, but saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to do that. And so those are active living, behavior. So that's it. That's it for this short presentation. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was valuable to you. I hope you learned a little bit, and I hope to talk to you soon.